In this video, I'm going to show you the basics of navigating within Project 2016. We'll look at the project ribbon, navigating to the Backstage, and working with the Quick Access toolbar. As you can see, I have the Module 1 Project 2016 Fundamentals file open, so if you want to follow along with me here, you'd want to also have that file open and available. Like other Office applications, Project uses the ribbon to provide access to common commands and settings. With time, you'll become familiar with where these commands are, the ones that you use, more frequently than others. The first thing that you'll notice is that the ribbon, again, much like your other Office applications, is organized based on particular topics like tasks and resources and reports. So if I click on each of those individual tabs, you'll notice how it changes, and it then displays very specific commands related to that topic, like resources or reports, right, or project, view, for example. And so by clicking on these various tabs, it exposes the command, and then you can perform the command. And later on, we'll learn about how we can even customize these ribbons so that we can move these different options and commands around if we need to. Now, some of these tabs are going to change based on what you happen to be working with, and you'll notice that the Gantt chart tools, for example, has a slightly different shading around it, and then it says Format right below it. So if I click on the View tab and I display what's known as the timeline, and we'll talk more about the timeline as we work through this, you'll notice that it essentially what appears to split the screen a little bit here, where we have a timeline section and then we also have a Gantt chart section. I'm showing you this here primarily because of this tools option in this tabbed area, because you'll notice that it changes based on where I click. So if I click inside a particular area, you'll notice that it reverts back to what it was formerly. So now that I'm in the Gantt chart area, this is now Gantt chart tools. If I click inside the timeline, it then changes to the timeline tools, but it still says Format underneath it. So if I click back into the Gantt chart tools and click inside the Format, this is the Format tab as it relates to working within the Gantt chart. So it's going to look a little bit different than when I'm in the timeline and I click on the Format. So there are some subtleties like this that we'll be going over, but just notice that there was a little bit of a difference between when we were clicking in a particular area. And I'll go back to that view and just simply turn off that timeline. Now the other area is the Backstage, which is where you will change settings related to the application as opposed to data or information within the file itself. Now where you're going to find the Backstage is going to be under File. So when I click on File, you'll notice that it opens up a new area, shows me things like info and new for creating a new project. And also down at the bottom, you'll notice that there's an Options area. Now under Options, this is where you would set up some of the default settings for the application, for example. You might want to turn on your auto save, and you can do that under the Save category under Project Options. Have that save every 10 minutes, for example. This is also where, and I'll cancel out of that and go back to File, where you would set up things like your accounts. If you were connecting to Project Server, for example, this is where the account would be managed. And I'll click out of that. The other area that you will manage commands will be in the Quick Access toolbar. So the Quick Access toolbar is at the top of the application, and you'll notice that there are already some very specific commands on this Quick Access toolbar. Over to the far right-hand side of it, you'll notice that there's a drop-down, and if I click on that, it's going to expand into a window that shows me a list of even more commands, and some of them have check marks on them, indicating that they are the ones that are being displayed. What you'll notice is that I can go into more commands, right? Or I can just simply enable that particular command on the Quick Access toolbar. So if I want to see something like Save As, I can turn that on, and now I have the Save As command in there. And when we get into the customization module, we'll learn about how to manage more of these commands and even share the quick access toolbar as well as the ribbons, and we'll do that a little bit later on.